Right, welcome back. Okay, so in this latest video, we're going to look at what is a limiting reagent. Now, so far in the calculations we've done, we've calculated values for if a reaction went perfectly. Now, in reality, as we know from the percentage yields, this does not happen, okay? And it is very unlikely that you have the exact amount of reagents that will react with each other. So you need to learn how to identify a limiting reagent. So your learning targets for this video, you should be able to understand what is meant by the key terms limiting reagent and in excess. And you should be able to work out what the limiting reagent is. Okay, so pretend you are at a cocktail bar and you want to order a martini. Okay, so along with the drink, what will you need? You'll need a martini glass and you'll need some olives. Now, obviously this is not to scale. Let's say in our bar we serve 2 olives per cocktail. Okay, now let's say at any given time we have 5 martini glasses and 8 olives. So we have more olives than glasses. But how many martinis can actually be made? Okay, so if we have 2 olives per martini and 1 glass. So the ratio is 1 glass to 2 olives. How many martinis can we make? So we could only make 4 cocktails. We would have 1 glass left over. So even though we had more olives than glasses, because of the ratio, we could not use all of the glasses. Okay? The thing which limited the amount of cocktails we could make was the amount of olives. Therefore, just to use the key terms in the analogy, the olives in this instance would be the limiting factor or the limiting reagent. The glasses are in excess. We have a spare glass here. Okay? Therefore, the glasses are in excess. The olives are a limiting reagent. So let's have a look at an actual chemistry example. Okay, so solution contains sulfuric acid and sodium hydroxide in certain masses. 12.8 grams of sulfuric acid, 10 grams of sodium hydroxide. Now the clue here that you need to look for a limiting reagent is that you've been given the masses of 2 reagents, okay, 2 reactants. If you are just wanting to do a normal mass to mass calculation like we've done before, you'll generally only be given 1 mass for a reactant or 1 mass for a product, depending on which way you're going. The fact that we have 2 masses suggests that you need to find the limiting reagent. Okay, you cannot work out the mass of a product by using either of these. That would only work if it was in a perfect molar amounts for the ratio. Okay, so let's find out which one is the limiting reagent. So let's start by looking at the sodium hydroxide. So let's work out moles of sodium hydroxide. So remember our calculation triangles. We have a mass, we have the molar mass, simple division. Okay, so we've got 0.25 moles. So we have to be able to compare this to the other reactant to work out which one is the limiting reagent. Let's think, how many moles of sulfuric acid could react? So let's just write potential moles of H2SO4, sulfuric acid. For this, you just use the ratio. Okay, so the ratio between sodium hydroxide and sulfuric acid is 2 to 1. Therefore, we could potentially have 0.125 moles of sulfuric acid reacting with the amount of sodium hydroxide we have. So this is the potential amount of moles. Let's work out how many we actually have. So again, just use your simple calculation from the calculation triangle, and we get 0.130 moles. Okay, now for the amount of sodium hydroxide we have, 0.125 could react. Okay, so if we minus 0.125, you're obviously left with 0.005 moles of H2SO4. So there would be H2SO4 left over, okay, that is not reacting. Because of this, H2SO4 must be in excess, okay? There is more H2SO4 than is actually needed in this reaction. So our limiting reagent is NaOH. This is the reagent which determines the extent of the reaction. This is the reagent you would use to then go and work out masses of products formed. Okay? If you use the values for H2SO4, you would get an incorrect mass of sodium sulfate of water. Okay? It's very important when you have this type of calculation where you have to work out the mass of one of the products, that you first work out the limiting reagent, then use the amount of moles of that limiting reagent for the next step to be able to work out the mass of the products. So hopefully you'll now have some sort of idea about what a limiting reagent is, and also what is meant by the term in excess. And you should be able to work out what the limiting reagent for a reaction is. Okay, remember this is the one you must use to work out the mass of products. Okay, make sure you've completed your notes, and I'll see you in class.